Hello world! Welcome back to another HackerRank Python challenge video. In this video, we're going to be solving mutations. Let's get started. Understand immutable versus mutable by making changes to a given string. Okay, so in programming, immutable means something that can't be changed versus something that can be changed, which is mutable. We have seen that lists are mutable, they can be changed, and tuples are immutable, they cannot be changed. Let's try to understand this with an example. You are given an immutable string and you want to make changes to it. And they give us a string and they say you can, how you can access each index by referencing the index via square brackets next to, the string or list or whatever variable type you're using that has indexing functionality to it, right? What if you want to assign a value though? So if I try to assign the character at index 5 of the string to a different character, it's going to throw an error because you can't do that with strings. Strings are immutable, but you can do it with lists. And you'll see in the examples here, right, that there's two methods, and we'll go through both just so you can get an understanding or a feel for each one. You can convert the string to a list, then set the index in the list to something else, and then rejoin the list into a string. Or you can just simply make a new string by slicing the old string into two pieces and putting the character you want to replace in between those two pieces in place of the character that was originally at that spot, right? So let's go ahead and let's see if there's any constraints. Doesn't look like it, so we can just dive right into the logic. They give us the inputs we're going to be using, and they pass it to mutate string. You have a string, a position, and a character. Okay, so the string is obviously the string. The position is the position by which you want to replace the character with the passed in character, right? So why don't we go ahead, start with the first example, and I'll designate it by the example 1. And we're going to say, why don't we just do exactly what they do? L equals list string, right? Because we want to convert the string to a list. And what that's going to do is just basically make a list of each character in the string, right? So instead of abracadabra as one piece of data, right, it's going to be A, comma B, comma R, comma A, comma C, and so on, so on and so forth, right? So do that, and then we want to say L at 5, which is going to replace that A right there, right? Because that's index 5, going 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. L at 5, we want that to be K. Oh, sorry, actually following too closely to the example there, we want that to be the character, right? And instead of 5, we want position, right? Because those aren't going to be static values, those are going to be things that the user is passing in. So now we have that list at that position is now getting replaced with the character, or assigned to that character, right? So that A, at least in the sample input, right? That A is getting replaced with K, right? Because the sample input is usually the first test case whenever we run these things, right? Now we just need to join the string back together, and what we're gonna do instead is just do a return, right? Because we don't need to set the string to that, we can literally just return the final result. Return dot join list L, right? And if we run our code, all right, so that passed. Now let's go ahead and comment that out as we're going to be doing the other method now. And now we're moving on to example 2. And now we just got to slice it, right? So how are we going to do that? Well, actually, we can literally just do it all in one line, which is preferable, right? If you can consolidate the code into one line, one readable line, I don't mean separating it out by semicolons. If you separate a line or multiple statements out with semicolons, it's going to run those as it's basically going to run those as if they were new lines, right? Because each statement is separated by a semicolon, so each statement is going to be a separate interpreted process, right? So I actually would prefer or do prefer this slicing method whenever it's possible because it shortens the amount of code that you have to write. Now, I will say that in several instances, doing the list conversion is more preferable and more usable. But for something simple like this, definitely stick to slicing because it keeps it nice and consolidated. So all we got to do is say string, and we're going from, remember, we don't have to write 0, right? Because if you don't write 0, then it means anything up to that point, right? So, and we want to go up to the character, right? Because it's going to be 1 minus the character. Oh, sorry, not character, position of the character. And because that's going to, so in our example, right, it's 0 to 5 in the example, right? It's 0 to 5. So, or everything to position 5. So it would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Because it's 1 less than that position, which is good because we don't want to get that position too, otherwise it's going to be excluded from our output. So we want to basically put the character in where that value, where the value that we're replacing is supposed to be, right? Or was. And then we want to say plus string, and then we want to get the index following, right? So position plus 1 to the end. And that should give us the string we want. So let's go ahead and run. And we passed. All right. So why don't we go ahead and submit the code and make sure we got everything right. Okay, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like, subscribe to the channel, show your support. Don't forget to turn on post notifications as well so that you can get regular content posted to your feed. Check out our Discord and Patreon links in the description box down below, and leave any feedback in the comment section down below. This is Almond Milk. Thanks for watching. Goodbye, world.